Racist cop targeted the wrong man, and it cost him everything. Hands on the hood. The command split the night before Malik Thompson even understood why he was being stopped. He had just left his mother's house. Sunday dinner. Leftovers in a paper bag on the passenger seat. The street was quiet, porch lights glowing soft and harmless. Then came the sirens, too close, too fast. Malik stepped out of his car slowly. "What's the problem, officer?" "You know what you did," the cop replied. Malik didn't. Officer Grant Walker had already made up his mind before he hit the lights. He'd been cruising that neighborhood for months, convinced crime was bleeding outward. He saw patterns where he wanted to see them. A black man driving a newer sedan at 10:47 p.m. fit the story, he told himself. Walker approached with his hand resting on his holster. License. Registration. Malik handed them over without argument. His heartbeat thudded, but his face stayed level. He'd practiced that look his whole life, cooperative, calm, smaller than he actually felt. "You live around here?" Walker asked. "Yes." "Doing what?" "Visiting my mother." Walker leaned into the car without permission. His flashlight scanned the interior like a spotlight, searching for guilt. "What's in the bag?" "Food." "Step back." 2 more patrol cars pulled up. Malik swallowed. "Why am I being detained?" Walker didn't answer. He opened the back door and started searching. "Do you have probable cause?" Malik asked, voice steady. Walker smirked. "You nervous?" "No. Only guilty people ask that many questions." Malik's jaw tightened, but he didn't react. He had learned that silence could save you, or at least buy time. Walker opened the trunk. Inside sat a locked aluminum case. Clean. Professional. Heavy. Walker froze for half a second. "What's this?" "Work." "What kind of work?" "Consulting." Walker's eyes narrowed. "Open it." "I don't consent to a search." Walker's smile turned sharp. "I wasn't asking." He grabbed the case. "Open it," he repeated. Malik hesitated. Not because he was hiding something, but because he knew once that lid lifted, the night would change. He unlocked it. Inside were rows of encrypted hard drives, labeled folders, printed audit reports, and a company seal stamped across several documents. Walker flipped through a packet. The header read, Independent Municipal Oversight Review, Internal Data Analysis. Walker's smirk faded. "What is this?" he asked. "My job," Malik replied. "What job?" "I audit police departments." The air shifted. One of the backup officers glanced at Walker. "You audit what exactly?" Walker asked. "Use of force data. Stop and search patterns. Civil complaint trends." Walker flipped another page. His name appeared in bold under a column labeled Disproportionate Stop Ratio. He went still. Malik watched him carefully. "You've been tracking me?" Walker snapped. "I track departments," Malik said evenly. "You're in the department." Walker's face flushed red. "You people always playing the victim." The words hung there. Ugly. Unfiltered. One of the younger officers stiffened. "Officer," he muttered quietly. Walker ignored him. "You think because you've got some paperwork you're untouchable?" Malik didn't raise his voice. "I think because I've got data, I'm accurate." Walker stepped closer. "You accusing me of something?" "I don't have to," Malik said. "The numbers do." Silence pressed in. A neighbor across the street had started recording. Walker noticed. He slammed the trunk shut. "You're obstructing an investigation." "What investigation?" Malik asked. Walker stepped forward abruptly and spun Malik around, cuffing him. "For resisting." "I didn't resist." Walker leaned close to his ear. "You picked the wrong night to flex." Malik was pushed into the back of the cruiser. As the door shut, Walker looked satisfied, but he hadn't noticed the small, blinking light clipped to Malik's jacket collar. It wasn't decorative. It was recording. At the station, Malik sat in a holding room. Calm, breathing steady. He wasn't panicking. He was waiting. Because before he left his mother's house, he had sent a scheduled email set to trigger if he didn't cancel it within 30 minutes. Subject line, field interaction, active stop. It contained live GPS coordinates and an automatic upload from the body-worn recorder he personally used during field audits. Walker, meanwhile, was in the report room. Resisted commands, he muttered while typing. Acted suspicious. Refused cooperation. The younger officer from earlier stood awkwardly nearby. Sir, he didn't really. You want to write the report? Walker snapped. No, sir. Then don't. Walker leaned back in his chair. He had done this before. Enough vague language to justify the stop. Enough authority to discourage complaints. He'd built a reputation as aggressive but effective. What he didn't know was that Malik Thompson wasn't just another civilian. He was the lead data analyst for a federal compliance task force contracted to review discriminatory policing patterns in mid-sized cities. And tonight had just handed him something raw. 32 minutes after Malik's arrest, Walker's captain received an email marked urgent. Then another. Then a call. Why am I getting flagged body cam footage forwarded to my desk? The captain barked. Walker frowned. Flagged? Did you arrest an auditor? The word drained the color from Walker's face. A what? An external compliance auditor. Federal oversight. Why is his live feed circulating? Walker's mouth went dry. He resisted. Resisted what? Silence. The captain's voice lowered. Dangerous. Tell me you didn't profile someone under active review. Walker didn't answer. The captain hung up. Malik was released 3 hours later. No charges filed. Clerical error, they told him. He didn't argue. He simply walked out into the early morning air and checked his phone. 47 missed calls. His supervisor, a civil rights attorney, 2 journalists. The footage had already spread. The clip that hit hardest wasn't the cuffs. It was Walker's voice. You people always playing the victim. Clear as glass. No distortion. No ambiguity. By sunrise, the phrase was trending locally. Walker arrived at work the next day to find internal affairs waiting. Badge. Gun. Surrendered. Administrative leave pending investigation. For what? Walker demanded. For misconduct. Bias indicators. Policy violations. Walker scoffed. Over a stop, the investigator slid a printed chart across the table. It showed 5 years of his traffic stops. 82% involved black drivers. In a district that was 30% black. Walker stared at the numbers. That's not, you can't. Data doesn't stutter, the investigator said. The room felt smaller. They're twisting it, Walker insisted. He set me up. No, the investigator replied calmly. He let you talk. The plot twist didn't end there. 3 days later, 2 former detainees filed formal complaints referencing similar language Walker had used. Then a third, then a fourth. Patterns. Always patterns. Malik sat in a conference room across from city officials a week later. He wasn't gloating. He was clinical. Bias doesn't always look violent, he explained. Sometimes it looks like assumption. Frequency. Tone. Repetition. One council member shifted uncomfortably. You're saying he targeted you because of race? Malik met her eyes. I'm saying he assumed guilt before interaction. And you were auditing the department already? Yes. So this stop validated the trend. Silence settled over the room. The mayor cleared his throat. What would you recommend? Malik didn't hesitate. Independent review board. Mandatory bias retraining. Public data transparency. He paused. And removal of officers with repeated disproportionate indicators. Across town, Walker watched the press conference from his living room. He looked smaller somehow. His lawyer had advised him not to speak publicly. But the damage wasn't just professional. His teenage son had come home from school asking why classmates were sharing videos. His wife had stopped defending him. You always said you were just doing your job, she told him quietly. He didn't have a clean answer anymore. 2 months later, the official ruling came down. Termination. Loss of pension eligibility pending appeal. Civil rights review forwarded to the state. Walker read the letter twice. The final line stung most. Conduct inconsistent with equitable law enforcement standards. Everything he'd built, reputation, authority, identity, unraveled not because someone attacked him, but because someone measured him. Malik returned to his mother's house one Sunday evening again. Same street, same porch light glow, different weight on his shoulders. His mother hugged him longer than usual. "You okay?" she asked. "Yes." "You scared that night?" He considered lying. "Yes," he admitted. She nodded. "That's the part they never see." He stepped outside after dinner and looked down the street. No sirens, no flashing lights, just stillness. His phone buzzed with a news alert. City approves independent police oversight reform. He exhaled slowly. One stop, one assumption, one officer who believed he'd picked an easy target. Instead, he had chosen a man who documented for a living. A man who understood that racism often hides in routine. A man who knew that power, unchecked, eventually exposes itself. Walker thought he was asserting control that night. He thought Malik was just another name on a report. He thought wrong, because when prejudice meets proof, it doesn't win. And sometimes the wrong man to target is the one who's been counting all along.